the opportunity to focus again on the benefits of nuclear and particularly advanced nuclear reactors. I think we were able to accomplish some good things in this committee last year, and we want to be able to continue to build on those. I want to focus my questions this morning on some of the regulatory matters related to microgrids. So I don't know, perhaps this is a question best asked for Ms. Roma. We have several microreactors that are in pre-application review with the NRC. One company, Oklo, has an application accepted for review under the combined license approach. The issue is the regulatory structure equates an operating permit with a specific site there. So what should we do with this? Should Congress act to create new exemptions for microreactors so that a single design can be permitted for multiple sites? How can we, again, allow for an approach that will ensure greater commercialization opportunities for microreactors? And I pose that to Ms. Roma, but if there are others that wish to respond to that, I'd appreciate.
But I can start off and then maybe others can hop in. So the NRC does have a design certification process, but the NRC kind of regulations that they stood up were for large-scale light water reactors, and they envisioned a very slow and long process where a company applied for a design certification. Once the NRC reviewed and issued the design certification, which can be a 5 or 6 year process, then a company could apply for a site-specific combined construction and operating license application. It could also apply for an early site permit where the NRC would do early environmental review of a site. And then it could apply for the COL and then get the COL. That whole process combined, which is probably what the NRC's preference would be for anybody doing licensing, can take decades,
right,
and is cost prohibitive and doesn't make any sense, particularly for designs like microreactors, which have very, very small footprints, both from a public safety standpoint and from an environmental standpoint. And the NRC has been really looking at its regulations to figure out how can we right size these for these types of facilities, but they're bringing their large light water reactor mindset, which is really a round peg in a square hole. And so what Congress can do is kind of any legislation to support the streamlining or even help check certain boxes so that the NRC can do a more efficient, not a less robust, a more efficient review commensurate with the size and impact of these facilities. That would be very, very helpful.
Well, I appreciate that. I've tried to outline the potential that we would have in a place like Alaska, where I think we have some interesting applications for micro reactors and what we might be able to deploy. But when you look at the structure within the Regulatory Commission, it's just not set up to help facilitate deployment in a state like Alaska, where you've got some pretty remote communities, some pretty remote sites that would benefit from exactly this type. So you're suggesting we need legislation. NRC says that they're dealing with what they're going to deal with. Did one of you, Mr. Sell, nice to see you.
Senator Murkowski, there is something interesting going on that I think is relevant. And that, as you may know, the Department of Defense has a program to design micro mobile reactors for forward operating bases. Our company, X Energy, is one of the companies involved in that design effort. That reactor will be deployed on a prototype basis by 2024. And although it will be licensed by the Department of Energy, the NRC regulators are embedded into the program. And so there is an opportunity for the NRC to observe, to learn, and to take lessons out of that and apply those to the commercial applications like Oklo and others. So it's a rapid technology development program, and the licensing process to go along with that is having to evolve to go with it, to move at the appropriate level of speed. And I think real lessons will come out of that effort.
It's my observation is that we're at that point where we're building out the prototypes. We know what it is that we need to do. The things that's slowing us down is the regulator, who hasn't caught up to the fact that this is not, your father's Oldsmobile in the sense of what we have been building in this country in terms of nuclear facilities for so many decades.
I think that's true. I will acknowledge that the last number of years at the NRC and now with Chairman Hansen, there is a strong commitment at the leadership level to be responsive to the laws that this committee originated and passed and reformed the process. And they want to do the right thing. But, sometimes it's change management in a large organization is challenging, and we're going to continue.
I would agree. I would agree, Senator. The leadership has been very progressive, and I think legislation that empowers the NRC to consider new approaches towards regulation, that's really helpful. And finally, I'll add that, I've worked around the world in nuclear energy and been asked many times in other countries, what does the NRC think? The NRC is the worldwide standard for nuclear safety. And if we think about a Team USA approach, if we have advanced reactors that are licensed by the NRC, the U.S. is going to be so competitive worldwide, offering these reactors as options to Russian or Chinese technology.
Thank you. Mr. Chairman, thank you. I have additional questions that I'm probably going to submit for the record, where, as you know, we're bouncing in between votes, but this is such an important hearing, and I really appreciate that.
Thank you, Senator Murkowski. Senator Cassidy.
Hey, thank you all. And again, it's a great hearing. I too have been bouncing between committee hearings and votes, so I apologize if there's redundancy into what I